Yeah. So the first 1 to 23, we also had heard about it in the yesterday's class. Like Krishna starts with the glories of his potencies about himself. That's why he says to hear about him so that we can get the knowledge about him, and by that knowledge we can make progress. And this knowledge is very rare, and people who have made progress to that level of knowing Krishna to a great extent are very rare, because Krishna only says these are very, very rare. Manushanam Sahasreshu. Then he speaks about these energies, his material energies, his spiritual energies, the physical elements and the material elements and the spiritual living entities. So he speaks about that, and he says that I am the source of all this. There is nobody else beyond me. Matta Parataram Nanyat. I am like that invisible thread that holds the entire necklace, all the pearls together. Nobody knows me. To know him, we need to hear about him. That's the only way. Then he speaks about the essence of the various potencies, that is, the taste of the water, ability in man, light of the sun and moon, is a seed giving father, and all. Like the 4 verses we heard, you all explained. Then we speak about, then Krishna says, why are people not surrendering? Because of the modes. I am not in the mode. Tribhir Gunamayir Mahavir. There are modes, 3 modes that are binding us, but I am not in them. Everyone else is in them. So what's the way out? To surrender to Krishna. Daivi Esha Gunam. So he speaks about that. Surrender unto me, then you will not come across these modes. These modes won't affect you so much. Then why don't people surrender? Because of the 4 types. Why do people surrender? Because of the 4 types. Then he speaks about what else did we speak in the last verse? So the 4 types of people, he speaks about the Gyanis who actually surrender and make progress. Then he speaks about the pure devotees, the Kevala Bhaktas, who are only after Krishna, nothing else, although they have acquired some knowledge. Then he speaks, why don't people, some people go to demigods because they want quick results and unqualified results, some cases. So that's why they go to demigods. And Krishna considers them as Alpamedasa, and without, they're overcome by illusion. They are Alpamedasa and Abuddhaya. Now he speaks about Abuddhaya also in this verse. So these are unintelligent, low intelligent people, and foolish type of mentality people. So that's what he says in that impersonalism, demigod worship. They go there because they get the quick results. Now we will conclude that 1 verse from that same section and go to the last section of this chapter, which is from delusion to devotion. And the last verse of that section, where the impersonalism and demigod worship is there, is this particular, which I'm going to share now. Yeah. Avyaktam vyaktimaapannam mantyante mamabuddhayaha param bhavamajananto mamavyayam anuttamam. Unintelligent men who do not know me perfectly think that I, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, was an impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Due to their small knowledge, they do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. So they think that Krishna has assumed a form. Earlier he was impersonal. And now he has assumed a form. That is only because of their lower status of mind. They are unintelligent and small, like they possess small knowledge. That's why. If you see from the history from Mahabharata, where Krishna was the person who was present with them, how many became devotees of Krishna at that time? Pandavas, Kunti Maharani, then Bhishma Dev, Vidura. These are the devotees of the Lord. And Dhritarashtra also knows, but he was so blinded by the love of his sons, he couldn't get to that point. So not many people know. Kauravas, 100 sons of Dhritarashtra, they didn't think. And many other demons who came to kill Krishna in his childhood. And also when he was in with the Pandavas, like Sishupal, when this yajna was happening. Sishupal was deriding Krishna so much, and Krishna tolerated it. And then why? Because he thinks Krishna is an ordinary person. He's just a milkman, nothing more than that. And he was so envious of him. And So like that. So they think that Krishna is just an ordinary person. There's nothing to know about him. And these are low class people. Um, and Krishna also speaks about, and how many places Krishna has made himself clear that he is a person. Can anyone quote some verses from the previous chapters up until now? There are other verses coming up in other chapters, but from until first to sixth and to seventh chapter also, there are verses that speak, Krishna directly speaks, I am, surrender unto me, or something to do with him as a person. Is there anything that you can? Yes.
The verse that comes to my mind right away is Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwara.
Beautiful. Yes, that's one. And anything else? Third chapter, fourth chapter,
Yeah.
Namam Karman Tilim. Anybody knows that verse? Anything from fourth chapter? Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam.
Yes,
एवं योगैति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन.
Janma
yes.
Karma Cha Me Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tattvata. So he's talking about himself. If you know about my life and pastimes, then you will not take birth again. That means he's a person. He's not an assumed personality, right? He's a person. What else? In the same section, if you go down one more, two more verses, he speaks about Yada Yada.
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते.
Of course, yes. Oh, ye thamam, however you surrender to me, I reciprocate. And then what are the appearance, the secret of his appearance? He says,
परित्राणाय
yes, yes.
4.8, yeah.
Go ahead. Say that verse.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Sambhavami yuge. I appear millennium after millennium. And then why, what else? That was first. Other one? First is yada yada hi. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyudanam adharmasya tadapmanam srujam. I reappear, I appear again to establish the principles and remove the miscreants. So he's making himself very clear that he's a person. That those verses. And what else? Anything?
4.5.
4
Go ahead,
point?
Mataji.
4.5, where he says, many, many births both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani cha Arjuna.
Yes, that verse. That I remember everything and you don't. And he says, I have given this knowledge to Sun God. How can an impersonal give? There is no personality to someone. How we can give this knowledge to Sun God? There was one in the beginning of creation. So all these
And
say
last verse also, like madgatina antaratmana, think of me within.
647.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is also like you surrender. Who thinks about on me continuously, I consider him the topmost devotee. So he is a person. He's made himself abundantly clear from previous verses, chapters, that he is a person. But people think that he is an impersonalist, and and Krishna condemns such people. He condemns them very, very strongly, saying they are very alpamedasa. They are buddhaya here in the previous verse, alpamedasa, like that. Avajananto mudaha. Also, he said that muda in previous verses, fools. No, he going to
But
say, this verse he is going to say, Avajananti Mamudaha Manusham Tanumashritam. Only fools regard me as an ordinary person in 9:11. It's yet to come. So the fact that no one can understand Krishna without, so what is there? How can we understand Krishna as a person? When you become a devotee of Krishna, when you render a devotion service, then you can understand. Otherwise, it's not possible. Like there is a story that once a person goes to the barber and he cuts his hair, to cut his hair, and that barber tells that there is no God, there's no one here, like there's no God. He just says that, and the man is listening, like just feeling, okay, yeah, I see. Just think that there is no God, but how do you think it is all functioning? Yeah, it is functioning. It's just like that. It is functioning. There's no God. So this man goes off, and then he remembers something and comes back to the barber again and says, there are no barbers in the world. Then the barber says, how can you say, I am here? People have to come to me to cut their hair. If there are people are growing their hair, there are no barbers in this world. Then the barber says, no, people have to come to me. Otherwise, how will I go and cut their hair? The same thing. You have to go to the God. God is there. If you think God is not there, and doesn't mean He's not there, and He doesn't need to prove it to you. As much as you don't need to prove to people that you are a barber, so it doesn't mean that God has to come and prove to each one of us. So that's what it is. The fact that no one can understand Krishna is without rendering service and without developing relationship. Bhagavatam 10:14 says, Atapi te deva padambujadvaya prasadalesa veshanugrahita evahi janati tattvam bhagavan mahino nachanye eko pichiram vichinvan. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of your mercy, of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. So Lord has to give us mercy to understand Him also. And that all depends upon our disposition of the heart. Why would He give to someone who don't even think that, see you, in your expressions, you have expressed that you know that there is something, that power existed, something is there. So if you have that thought that something is there above me and He's protecting, guiding me all the time, and if your intentions are pure, you're not challenging in that way, are you there? Are you really there? Kind, that, please help if you can show me some path. Then Krishna will reveal. Like what Vivek Prabhu said earlier, he was thinking Krishna was interested. So there was some purity of his intention at some point, and Krishna made it clear to him that, yes, I am a person and you can find it here. So like that. So Krishna will not just give it away to us unless we approach Him. So we need to have that. So that comes with, again, it comes with some rendering, some Ajnata Sukriti, some pure devotees association, all this play into picture. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then only one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the process, and you can read the purport, the lengthy purport Krishna Prabhupada has given. But the underlying point is Krishna is always a person. Our Mudas think that he assumed a personality, and Prabhupada makes his point by quoting different Shastras, because different mindsets he has to cater to, right? Prabhupada, he's not just catering to simple minds, he's also catering to the complex minds, where people are not satisfied with what information is. So he's quoting different Shastras, and different Acharyas have given so much on each and every purport and each and every verse of Bhagavad Gita. So he brings the essence of all that. Yeah, we can keep it simple also, thinking Krishna is always a personality, and we can understand Krishna by rendering service unto Him and His pure devotees. The next verse, 625. Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudoyam na bina janati loko mamajamavyayam. I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. So this verse means that Krishna reserves all rights. And why should He reveal to someone, right? Like when someone is not accepting Him, why would He go and prove Himself to him? He reserves all rights. He says, Naham Prakash, I will not manifest. You can see Krishna in Mahabharata. All the people were seeing Krishna as a person, but not many people realized Him as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means the Yoga Maya has covered them, and they couldn't understand Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just like if you go to the Prime Minister and says, there is no Prime Minister in this country, there's no President, no Prime Minister, will Prime Minister come and prove it to you? That, no, I am here, I am the Prime Minister of this country, see, I am here. Will he do that? He won't. He doesn't care, right? Whether you agree to him, you still have to follow the rules of this country. So like that, Krishna, if you, again, if you want to think like that, fine, you be like that. I don't want to disturb your thought process. Yeah, so Krishna was present on the earth And how it is said that he's not manifest to everyone. Actually, he was not manifest to everyone. When Krishna was present, there was only a few people who could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the assembly of Hindus. But Shishupal is okay against Krishna's being elected president, and assembly Bhishma supported him and proclaimed him to be the Supreme God. Similarly, Pandavas and few others knew that he was a person. But not everyone. He was not revealed to non-devotees or the common man. Like that. So in Kunti Maharani prayers also, she prays to him like that. Just Natya Dharo Dhara. There is a verse. I'm not remembering that verse fully now. But what is like just like an actor getting to the like you cannot see that the acting is happening, right? When an actor gets into his character, right? You are like that. You assumed a personality and you are acting it, but you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this verse, in the Ishopanishad, which you will also read, mantra 15, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hatam mukham tatvam pushan aparano satya dharmasya drishtaye. So in this, the devotee is praying, remove that curtain from my eyes, that curtain of yoga maya, that bright light that is covering my vision. Remove that so that I'll be able to see you, your personality. So that's what she says. So this is it's yoga maya is covering. So we want to see Krishna as a person, not each other. And he is a personality which his body is comprising of Satchit Ananda Vigraha. He is Satchit, Sat, truth, Chit, um, eternality, and Chit Ananda is the bliss. So these are the potencies that Krishna has. So how can it be an impersonal? One of the things, how can you produce persons who we are? Like we are not impersonals. Each one of you can think we are a person. We have our self. How can an impersonal personality produce a personals like that? You can understand it in this way also. Shalini, you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick question. I was a little bit confused. Why does it say Yog Maya and not Mahamaya, the external potency that kind of illusions creates the disillusion for regular people, non-devotees?
Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritana. This is Yoga Maya, his internal potency. That is his potency, right? We are already in Mahamaya. We are engulfed in Mahamaya, external potency. So to understand Krishna, we actually need to come into the internal potency of him. And Krishna hides his internal potency from the people who are covered by the external potency. That is his internal potency that covers him, so that he is not manifest to the people, anyone like that.
Okay, got it. Thank you, Mataji.
Next verse, 26. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha Arjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all that you are yet to come. All that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. So Krishna is very nice verse. Vedaham samatitani. I know past, present, and the future that is yet to come. But me no one knows. Krishna knows the outcome of the war of Kurukshetra also. And he has told Arjuna to just be an instrument in his plan. I have already killed all these people. All you have to do is be an instrument, take the credit. Because this has already happened. Like when he sees his universal form, he sees all these people entering into his mouth. Thousands of mouths. You will see that in the 11th chapter. All these people that Krishna already killed. And Arjuna has to do his part and take the credit. So he knows what's going to happen, what has happened in the past, what is happening in the present, what's going to happen. But we all have to do our duty. And we do have a free will, and we have to do our duty for sure. We do have a free will to respond also. It's not that like everything is set in stone, so we don't have a role to play. It's not like that. We have a role to play in each and every scenario, situation. That is a very important thing we should not forget. Like, even though Krishna knows everything, we still have that power within us, which is that free will, power of free will that we have. You can choose to be like this, or you can choose to be like that. So that's there. Krishna never leaves that to anyone. It's given to all of us. So we need to understand that. And Krishna also says in this, many, many, you all quoted this verse 4, 5, many, many lifetimes we both have lived. I remember everything and you don't. This is that verse. This is one other verse that's similar to this. Earlier he spoke 4, 5. Vedaham Samadhitan. Yes, that is coming here. Yeah. And he also spoke to sun god that he has this knowledge millions of years ago. And now he is speaking to Arjuna at that time. Just like the example Prabhupada gives the analogy of the clouds covering the sun. So clouds sometimes cover the sun. We feel that there is no sun. Is there no sun, or the clouds are covering our sight? It's just the clouds are covering our sight or vision, not that sun doesn't exist. So similarly, because of the covering of this Maya or conditioning that we are in, we don't think Krishna as a person, or we don't recognize Krishna. It is like that. But Krishna knows everything and is present all the time. In the earlier verse also, one other explanation we can give is Abhyaktama Vyaktimapannam. There are 3 ways in which we can realize the absolute truth. You would have heard before or not, I'm not sure. But the 3 ways in which you can remember or realize the Lord is, first is impersonal Brahman, then Paramatma realization within the heart, and then Bhagavan realization. Bhagavan realization is the complete realization, which includes the impersonal Brahman as well as Paramatma realization. And Paramatma realization only has impersonal Brahman realization and Paramatma. Brahman, Paramatma, these are the different gradations in which you can realize the personality of Godhead. This is said in the Bhagavatam, when the learned sages, how do they remember, how do they know Krishna? They know Krishna by the absolute truth can be known by impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Yes, that is another way to look at the Avyaktam. They think that he's not just impersonal, he has impersonal feature to himself, with which this entire existence is happening. Then there is Bhagavan and Paramatma also. Paramatma resides in each and every soul, each and every atom, what to speak of the soul, each and every atom. And then the Bhagavan feature is in its two-handed form. So, yeah. Yes, Palakmati, do you have a question?
Yes. What does it mean by realization of impersonal Brahman? How do we realize impersonal Brahman?
That it can be given with the analogy of the sun god, sun disk, and the sun effulgence of the sun. So if you look at the sun, there is the sun effulgence which we all perceive. Then there is sun disk, which is the planet, and the sun god himself. There is sun god within the sun planet, and that is his planet, and the effulgence is what? So impersonal realization is that where you see the effulgence of the sun. The Brahman realization is like that. You see all that exists, the manifestation around us, the entire cosmic manifestation is an impersonal representation of the Lord. And the Paramatma realization is the planet realization. And within that planet, there is sun god. So Bhagavan is a complete. So when you go see sun god, you're seeing him completely with his effulgence, within his planet, and a person also. Like that.
So can I say that it means that, like I was saying, that at one point I thought that there is some superpower who's responsible for all this, right? So is that
Maybe I lost your words. Your camera looks like it is stuck. Can anybody hear me? You can hear
Yes,
me?
Mataji.
Sorry. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, now.
Okay. I'll repeat my question. So I'm saying, so can I translate it to that? If you know, in my realization, I shared that at one point I thought that there is some superpower who's responsible for all this. I don't know who that is, but there is somebody. So can we say that is equivalent to impersonal Brahman?
Yes. Yeah. That was the stage when you were, and now coming closer to Bhagwan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that is now we are in the section where we are coming from a delusion to a devotion stage. That's the last section of this chapter. So in this verse, Krishna says, like Vedaham, I know past, present, and future. When you surrender to Krishna and all that, you can understand him by becoming a devotee of the Lord. Now, here in this next verse, Krishna speaks about the dualities. Why don't people understand him the way he is because of the dualities. Ichcha dvesha samuttena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. O Scion of Bharata, O conqueror of the foe, all the living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arisen from desire and hate. So there are dualities. That's why we are stuck in that dualities. Heat and cold, happiness, distress, man, woman, summer, winter, like that. So we are controlled by those dualities. That's why we are bewildered. And we think that we have an option to either like Krishna or not like Krishna. But spiritual life is not an option. It's a recommendation. It's a necessity. It's not even a recommendation, it's a necessity. So it's not like that. But we think that we have an option. Oh, I don't believe God. I don't trust this. Okay. So how do you think you are living? You know, they think that they have an option. Just as much as a doctor, for a patient, treatment is not an option. It's a necessity for a patient. So we are all patients. If you think that, okay, I can either take treatment or not, that's not an option. He has to take the treatment. So similarly, spirituality is not an option. But we think that there is an option. That's why we go into these dualities. People go into dualities. Like that. So otherwise, it has to be taken up with full heart and full. Yes. Yes, Palak.
Mataji, the first statement saying the real constitutional position of the living entity is that of the subordination to the Supreme Lord. What does subordination exactly mean here?
Being a servant of the Lord. That's it.
Mm.
It's a different way to put it. We are servants, right?
How are we so this is something that I have been thinking when I did my pre-read, and the question has been bugging me.
Mhm.
So how are we servants to the Lord?
How are we servants of the Lord? Is that your question? So Krishna is the only master. Everyone else are the ones who give pleasure to him. We are not servants, we are not masters. Just like our body, the rest of the body, like the hand serves our stomach. Stomach doesn't serve the hand like that. So the hand feeds our stomach, right? Like we put the food in the mouth, and that's how. So this is how the entire creation is. Like they are all parts and parcels of the Lord. We cannot be the masters. We are not the masters. We are the servants. And Krishna is the only master. So like that, we are all our position is, Mahaprabhu says, Gopi Bhaktu Padakamalayora Das 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 Anus. Aham Naham Prakashas. What is that verse? Naham Vipro Na Chapatir. Naham Vipro Navi Vaisho Nashudo. Naham Vanni Chagrapatirvo Vanasto. Kinto Podayan Nikhilas Paramamrutabdu. Gopi Partupata Kamalayor Das 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 Anudas. I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Kshatriya, I'm not a Vaishya Shudra, I'm not a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha or Sannyasi. I'm only a servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Lord of the gopis, who are in fact the servants of Lord Shri Krishna, who is the master of all the gopis. This is what Mahaprabhu says. So we are not in any designation. We don't have any other qualification. That is our qualification. That's our constitutional position. We are the servants now.
So, how are we giving pleasure to God? I completely understand He is.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm convinced He is the absolute truth. He is the creator. He is the cause of all causes. I completely am there. But how am I giving sitting here pleasure to Him?
So right now we are in the process of making. We are in the process of making ourselves. Like, each and every one, Krishna has taken special care to create each and every living entity. It's not like you are not important to Krishna. You are important to Krishna. Each and every living entity is important. So that means there is a pleasure that he gets from your existence. And how that is, we need to first of all realize that for ourselves and offer that service to the Lord. So first of all, we are all servants, right? And then we can understand, can love Krishna in 5 other rasas also that we have heard, right? In the friendship, in the servitorship, in the friendship, in the um, what are the other ways?
Parents, conjugal lover,
Yeah,
and
that
then
is
like a passive or active way.
passive, and then servitorship, friendship.
Parent and a conjugal lover.
4. What's the 5th one? The 5, right?
I think it's passive and active, right, Mataji? I think that's what I read in the.
Yeah, Shant Ras.
Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, and Madhurya rasa. So we can understand how we can get into these rasas, and this is not a mental thing. We cannot have it as a mentally we cannot identify that what is our rasa. It has to come to us, it has to be revealed to us, right? So until that point, we can be in the servitorship. Okay, we are in the real constitutional position, serving Krishna in that subordination. Will that make sense to you? No?
It does make sense, but I still don't know how will he get pleasure from me. And I think another question that I have is, so how my imagination is working is a soul is the size of 1/10,000 of the tip of the hair, right? So I'm assuming when we die, let's just say that's our liberation takes place. So our soul goes to the spiritual world. Let's say I'm liberated, right? Does that dot-like thingy go there? Is that my form in the spiritual world?
The soul's constitutional position is that 1/1000th part of the tip of the hair. That's the size of the soul. But the soul has pervaded so much into your entire body, and you exist as a person, right? Like that soul has given rise to yourself, which is 5 foot, 5.5 foot, or 6 foot personality. So the soul has got that much power to manifest itself. So in the spiritual world, each one will have our original forms. What that form is, we need that time will tell, Krishna will reveal. Our sadhana, it depends on our sadhana. Each one has to realize. So we will have our original constitutional positions in which we will be serving Krishna.
And I don't know if this is a valid question, but once I am there, what do I do? For example, here I can listen about him, I can chant, I can dance, right? I can do all of these things. What can I do there to make him feel happy?
World, this is a devotee in the making. We are in the making process. What we do now, we will do then. The process of devotional service is same from the beginning till the end. Hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, eating prasadam. From the beginning till the end. The process is this, the goal is also this. So in the realized state also, we will do the same thing. in an intensified state. We don't know how that, because we are not in that stage. We don't know how it looks and feels. But there are scriptures that reveal a glimpse of it in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The definition of pure devotional service is given. It is like a condensed milk which is thick and condensed. How sweet it is. So there are definitions of these processes in the sadhana bhakti, how we are. It's a clearing stage, like we are going towards the bhava. In the bhava stage, just about to fructify the prema. In the prema stage, we are totally it's like condensed milk, that experience of tasting condensed milk, how it is so thick, so sugary. That's just a way to represent. That is how it is. And if you don't need, in that purified state, that original state, you will not know, like, someone needs to not tell you like how you have to serve Krishna. It comes to you automatically. Right? Just like the example of eating. When you are eating, other person should not tell, now you have eaten enough, stop. You yourself will stop. You are still eating right now. When you have eaten, you will know when you are satisfied. So it's a stage in the development. So prema is the last stage. Right now we are in the anardha nivritti stage. So we still have to do our duties of sadhana and get to that stage. And Krishna's will get to that stage.
Got it. Thank you for answering that, Mataji. Now I have another question which kind of led from here, which was, we- so I think the idea is to realize that Krishna is our father, right? He is the creator, he is everything. And if we look at it in human forms, I think Krishna equivalent are parents to us. I feel they are, for us, they are our creators, correct? Why is it that our parents do not expect us, to always give them pleasure and all of that, but we have to do that for Krishna? Why is that? It can be a very weird question, but it just came to my mind.
So do you think parents they are selfless, but don't they need your love? Krishna is not looking anything from us. Krishna is not in need of anything. He's not in like your parents are, but they like that exchange with you.
Right.
Proceed in the loving exchange with them.
Right.
Krishna doesn't need anything from us. He's not in need. He's Atma Rama. He's completely satisfied all the time.
Correct.
He's only looking for the love. He needs love. That's all he needs. He doesn't need anything else from us. So that you can give him in your capacity. And that is why you are an individual soul all by yourself. You are an individual living entity from the beginning for eternity. You are there. So that's all he is looking for, an exchange of loving exchange with him. He doesn't need anything from us. All that we do for him is only for our, we offer him food so we can eat. Not that because he's hungry.
True, I agree. Like, we go away from our parents, right? So that we can be us as well, right? We are not living with our parents. Similarly, why is it there a concept that we need to go back over there and be eternal and forever and all the time engaged in a service? We are not doing that for our parents, right? We love them, we still exchange love with them, staying away from them. Then why is not this thing applicable there as well?
Yeah, if you want, this material world has been created by Krishna, that if you want, you can live here forever in the birth, death, old age life cycle. He's not saying that that's why he creates this material world, which is temporary, but permanently is creating this temporary world. Every time he takes breath, the universes come into him. He exhales, universes come out. That process is continuous, it's eternal. So that exists. But the manifestation, that the time until which these universes remain, is only temporary. So that in that life, you can remain if you want. That free will is always with you. Someone wants to remain here forever, that free will is with them. Although Krishna wants that you want, because you don't belong here. You are also a part and parcel of the Lord, separated although. So just like the water in the ocean, small particle ocean, it is as salty as the rest of the ocean. The quantity is small. The quantity of Krishna is large. The ocean is large. The small water drop is small. So it's the same. If you take the water drop away from it, fine if you want, but if you go mix with the ocean, then that is where you belong. You belong there. We don't belong here. Because of our desires, we have come here and we are struggling. And that's why there is birth, there is death, there is old age, there is disease, and everything that comes around with it. Our eternal position, our situation is in the spiritual world. That's what the scriptures say. That's what the acharyas say. Spiritual master is saying, Prabhupada is saying, we don't belong here. We belong in the spiritual world. We are also Satchidananda Vigraha in a minute, infinitesimal quantity. Krishna is infinite, we are infinitesimal. Same quality though. Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That's why
God.
our position is not here. Our position is in the spiritual world. But because we made a free will choice to enjoy separately from Krishna, we are here.
Stay. So, Mataji, we also stay away from our parents. Like, we can also say that that is our position to be with our parents, but it is our desires that take us away from our parents also. So, does this also mean that our actual position is to be with our parents always and stay with them?
You can serve them, yes, why not? You can serve them, always being with them. You can lead your life and also serve them.
But how? I cannot achieve all this if I stay with them.
So they are also part of this, right? They are not, they are also part of this conditioning. They are also part of this manifestation. This is, we have come into the existence. They are not the creators. They are the medium through which you came. They are just the medium. They are not the creator. They didn't create you. They gave you a passage to come into this material world. So they are also part of it. So they are as good as God, but they are not God. They are not creators in that sense, right? So they are part of it. So you can honor them, you can serve them, but they cannot take the position of the God, right?
That's correct. I think I need to think more about this. I need to process. I'll ask you more questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Mataji. I took a lot of time. Thank you.
stay with the process, read continuously the purports. I think it's a that switch that happens, Prabhupada's unique way of doing things with us, with our minds. Keep reading, where you will be satisfied at some point. Yes, all this makes sense. This is the only process. If you stay away from this process, I'm not saying you're staying away, but if we have this kind of doubts and we stay away from the process, no clarity will come. You need to be with the process. Keep doing this. Read it.
Right, Mataji, it's just a fight in mental and my heart stuff. So it's like my heart feels peaceful here, but my mind is running with thoughts.
Right.
So it's just, I'm kind of battling.
Inquisitiveness is fine, but just stay with the process. Go read continuously. Feed your mind. Your mind needs fuel. Just feed it.
Thank you, Mataji.
Next will be 8. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvandvamoha nirmukva bhajante mam drid vrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So, people who have had some punya karmas that they have acted, they will conduct their life in devotional service, which by removing of their dualities, good and bad, and all the sins, then they will act. But the piety in itself is not the reason for them to engage in the devotional service. The reason for them to engage in the devotional service is with the association of the devotees. That piety may bring them to that point, but by the association and mercy of the devotees, they will continue in the devotional service. Prabhupada makes it clear in the purport. Can someone read this entire purport?
Can I read, Mataji?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. For those who are sinful, atheistic, foolish, and deceitful, it is very difficult to transcend the duality of desire and hate. Only those who have passed their lives in practicing the regulative principles of religion, who have acted piously, and who have conquered sinful reactions, can accept devotional service and gradually rise to the pure knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then gradually, they can meditate in trance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the process of being situated on the spiritual platform. This elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness, in the association of pure devotees, for in the association of great devotees, one can be delivered from delusion.
Yeah, just pause. So this is, we can act, some piety is there, some removal of sins, and we have to do all that in the association of the devotees. Elevation is possible in Krishna consciousness in the association of pure devotees. For this association of great devotees, one can be delivered from delusion. So this is how from delusion to devotion happens. We are all deluded, so we'll get to that point of acting in devotional service with the association. Please read the rest also.
In this, it is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2 that if one actually wants to be liberated, he must render service to the devotees. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimukte. But one who associates with the materialistic people is on the path of leading to the darkest region of existence. Tamo drivam yoshitam sangi sangam. All the devotees of the Lord traverse this earth just to recover the conditioned souls from their delusion. The impersonalists do not know that forgetting their constitutional position as subordinate to the Supreme Lord is the greatest violation of God's law. Unless one is reinstated in his own constitutional position, it is not possible to understand the Supreme Personality or to be fully engaged in his transcendental loving service with determination.
So service, association of the devotees and service to them. Mahat sevam dvaram ahur vimukte. When you do the devotional service to the great devotees, the door to liberation is opened. This verse in 552 Bhagavatam says that. At the same time, if you are associating with the conditioned people who are associated with women and wine, Yoshitam Sangi Sangha means associating with people who are attached to wine and women, the door to hell is also wide open. So it's the association that makes the people go to elevate to the next level. So here in this, the impersonalists do not know that forgetting their constitutional position as subordinate to the Supreme is the greatest, it's a violation of the Lord, thinking that we are not subordinate to the Lord. Unless one is reinstated in his own constitutional position, it is not possible to understand. First of all, we need to be thinking that we are servants. If we think we are the masters, we cannot know. We need to think that we are the servants. Because after all, we are serving only in this world. Whether you are serving God or someone else, you are always in service. You may be serving your boss in the office, right? You may be doing some work, and that's what is it? It's service only. You'll become an S-man to the boss. That means it's nothing but being servant of the law. And that boss is being servant to his boss. Like we are always serving. But the actual servantship that we should do is to the Lord. And thinking that everyone is part and parcel of the Lord, we should serve them also, because we are all brothers and sisters in that sense, right? We are helping each other. We have to help each other so that we can in whole serve the Lord. Like that. Any questions on this? I thought more questions will come here.
I just had a realization that, even if Krishna came in front of us today and said, I'm God, 99% of the people are still not going to believe him because we are so mudas and we covered by so much material illusion that we'll refuse to believe him.
How will we
It's just
have blunt senses? Our
exactly.
senses are so blunt. That verse you'll get in the Little of Devotion. So what is the way to purify our senses, blunt senses?
And one thing that Palak Mataji mentioned, I was able to recall when I came into Krishna consciousness 2 years ago. That was exactly my doubt. Why should we be considering ourselves as servants of him? Right? But it's taken me 2 years after a lot of reading and association of devotees. I've realized, that it's just the false ego that prevents us from seeing ourselves as servants in our own eyes. But actually, over time, when you overcome your ego and you become humble, then you realize, yes, you are a servant. You're nothing but a servant.
You're not serving Krishna, you're serving someone, right?
Yes.
Our service that won't happen, continuous. Right? We are always serving something or the other. If not our senses. I want to feed my eyes, I want to feed my stomach, I want to feed my ears. We are serving something. Servanthood is our position, is our constitutional position. And all Krishna consciousness is purify that process and offer your service to that supreme person where you get supreme benefits. Right? In the job place, if you serve a boss, maybe you get good remuneration or maybe not. But we still have to serve. Right? But in Krishna consciousness process, when you serve the Supreme Master, our mission is guaranteed. We will definitely get good results.
Mataji, in somewhere Prabhupada's purports, the clarity Prabhupada is given, we listen to many different kind of organizations. The way Prabhupada is explained the things no one has told us. It's not only it's our false ego that we don't accept that we are servant, but nobody has told us this truth ever. Different people define dharma in a different way, but the way Prabhupada is explained is dharma is Sanatan Dharma is nothing but the serving to the lotus feet. That is the Sanatan Dharma. So, but some people will say dharma is compassion, some people will say dharma is this, dharma is that, right? The performing your duties. Yeah, that is all true. But the main deep rooted thing is the dharma is serving. That is what we are doing Sanatanly, like long being we are doing that. So nobody has explained what Prabhupada has said. We listen to many other organizations, but the clarity Prabhupada has given, it's very difficult to find out anywhere else.
Yeah, he's added devotion would be on a mental platform. But if you add service to it, see, so much of service is there in devotion service. So much is service. So only when you serve, then you get that. So devotional service is not on the mental platform. It's in using all your senses and the body. Mind, definitely, you put your mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, but body with the hands, legs, you can do the service. So devotional service is engaging all your senses and body in the service of the Lord. So where did we come to this point? What were we talking? Someone has a question also?
I have a question, but Shalini Mataji was, I think, speaking that everyone is a servant, and I think she was talking about how she, in 2 years, she realized this. This is in response to Palak Mataji's question. But my question, Mataji, was about dualities, because the previous verse talks about dualities. And something I realized in this week and a couple of times in my life is whenever, like, if I think my parents or my family is going to get hurt, my reaction is like fear. It's not thinking Krishna, the first thing. At some point, I will think of Krishna, but how do I get out of this duality where sometimes I'm reading scriptures, but I know my natural instinct is I have fear that my family will get hurt. And maybe I'll shout, maybe I'll be there to comfort them, try and do whatever I can help them out. But my first thought's not Krishna. So that's something that I realized this week as well. So how do you get yourself to that point where you think of Krishna, that I have faith in Krishna, that I should not have this fear?
It's a process, right? I have associated with someone who has that faith. One way is to do that. And this is a process, a journey. So when we say we don't have something, then we need to go to that place where we can find it. That is the devotee who has that faith, who always goes to Krishna in the problem situation.
Yes.
So associate more with the devotees and find out that association where you can find that part. And association is definitely not always physically, it's Vapu Seva. Sorry, it's not always Vapu Seva, it's Vani Seva. Vani is by the words, Vapu is by the body. You might not get the physical association all the time, but you'll definitely get the by the instructions. So associate with those devotees who has that, wherever there is, whenever your only shelter, that's one more exercise. That's a very good point, Devi, that you're bringing, that where are our shelters? Where do you found out yourself where your shelter is right now? But where are our shelters? It's an exercise for all of us to find out when in need or when in distress, where do we go? Do we shout? Do we cry? Do we take it upon ourselves? Like, I can do it. Or we go to Krishna. Where are our shelters? This is the exercise for this rest of the week, along with the previous exercises. Can someone post it, please?
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. Please post, one of you, what the exercise is for this week, that in the situation, or it could be any situation, right? Where are our shelters? Just open-ended. Where are our shelters? Where do we go for everything that we are experiencing in the life? That's the yeah. Palak Mataji.
So Mataji, just wanted to add something. And first of all, I want to thank everybody, how everybody adds to with their personal experiences to my questions. It really helps me a lot. I think I went to that point in my thinking where I was like, yes, eventually I'm a servant. I'm serving everybody. If you think about it, we are in a way also serving the riches of the world because they're kind of running everything. Our bosses, the bigger organizations and all of that. So we are serving. We are servants, that's for sure. But we are serving them because they have the power. And it kind of made me feel bad. Are we serving Krishna because we know that he's the cause of all causes? Isn't that very selfish that we are loving him? We are doing all of that because we know that he's the one responsible and he can cure everything. So we are serving him. It made me just feel so selfish
There
at
are
that
four types of
point.
devotees, right? That's why there are 4 types of devotees. That's why. Either distress, impulsive. Krishna still calls you as a Sukrutina, no problem. Go to him only. That's a recommendation. Sorry if I did cut you off.
No, no, Mataji, you did not. But yeah, that's where I ended and where I'm stuck. That it did not feel right to, be to love and serve Krishna and wanting to love Krishna because he's the cause of all causes. Like it felt very selfish. So I'm kind of stuck there.
Yeah, that we read these verses, right? Krishna encourages you from there. You are Sukrutina. You're still going to Krishna because you want something. You are in the need of something. So that's fine. You are on the right track. At least you have come to that point. Like, if we are serving everyone, why not serve Krishna, who is the supreme power, who's providing everything? If you have come to that stage, there's a great, great progress. From here, again, there is a path, right? Krishna said, Sukritis are good, but the one who's in Jnani is the better than him. And then there is a Kevala Bhakta, who's only serving Krishna. That's a process, a journey for us, where we have to make progress. And we are on the path, we have to make progress. And that will come to us. Surely, but surely. Yes, anybody has anything else on this verse? Okay, last 2. Jara marana mokshaya mamashritya yatanti ye te brahma tadvidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakilam. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They're actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities. Now, this is a slight twist to the process. Again, there Krishna is adding another type of a devotee here, who is a person who is seeking for liberation. Up until now, Krishna spoke about different types of devotees. 4 Sukritinas, we all know them. And then Krishna also spoke about the pure devotee who only goes to him. And now he's speaking about a person who is a seeking for liberation, endeavoring for liberation from birth, death, and old age. He also takes refuge in devotional service. They are Brahman. Now, this word Brahman, you would have seen in the 424 or 25 verse. Brahmarpanam Brahmahaver Brahmagano Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Devana Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhinaha. Which verse is that? 424? Quickly, anybody?
Yes, Mataji, it's 424.
Yes, yes. So that verse where Krishna speaks about in that ultimate consciousness, which is supremely elevated consciousness, the person becomes Brahman, the instruments become Brahman, the destination becomes Brahman, the offerings become Brahman, everything becomes Brahman. When the consciousness is elevated, that's so here the word Brahman. So these persons who are seeking for liberation from birth, old age, and disease, they take refuge in devotional service, and they are actually Brahman. They know everything about, and one who knows Brahman can be Supreme Brahman, it can be Parabrahman, it can be the Brahma who created the universe, it can be the living individual entity also, depending on the context. In this context, it is a living entity, and these living entities are not ordinary people. They're very, very elevated, like this verse of 424. In that supreme consciousness, they can become Brahman. Their offerings will become Brahman. The instruments with which they use offering, just like you pour ghee in the oblations, in the fire, the oblation of ghee in the fire is Brahman, the ghee is Brahman, the ladle with which your offering is Brahman, the priest is Brahman, the person is Brahman, everything. So everything is so spiritualized. So that's the consciousness. That's the person who is endeavoring for that, like, that it's a stage, it's not the end stage, it's a stage. Okay, so this is another type of devotee. And Krishna is putting some words in front of Arjuna that they are Brahman, they know everything because of they know everything about the transcendental activities. So this is that person who is seeking for Mokshakami Bhakta. Sakama Bhaktas, we heard 4 types, Artha, the Jignasu, that. Then the devotees, pure devotees who are aspiring, Krishna consider themselves as same as himself. And now this is the Mokshakamis. Now he speaks about the word Brahman here in this case. And then he speaks about, so these are the different types of people who engage in the devotional service, yet they are seeking for liberation. Okay. Now, when we look at the last verse, Sadi Bhutadi Daivam Mam Sadi Yajnam Chaye Vidu Prayana Kale Pichamam Te Vidur Yukta Chetasaha. Those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods, of all the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So we have the English translation. It became very easy for us to understand that Krishna is speaking about the governing principle of manifestation of the demigods and of the methods of sacrifice, because translation made it easy at the time of death. Now these words, if you look at Sa Adi Bhuta Adi Daivam, Adi Bhuta Adi Daivam, Sa Adi Yajnam, and it means and. Sa means and. And after Brahman, this verse, here he said, Te Brahma Tadvidu Krishnam Adhyatma Karma Chakilam, and then followed by that, along with that Brahman, Sa Adi Bhuta, Sa Adi Daivam, Sa Adi Yajnam. I am that principle in the Adi Bhuta, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna. What are Adi Bhuta? Material manifestation. Krishna is that essence of that Adi Bhuta. Adi Daivam are the demigods. Krishna is the supreme God of God, demigods. Adi Yajnam, the sacrifice. He is the principle of the sacrifice. Is the Brahman, and these 3-4 words. And then there is another word called Prayana Kali. So if you know Krishna in the material manifestations, as the supreme among the demigods, as a supreme essence of the yajnas, you will for sure know me at the time of death. That's called Prayana Kala. Prayana Kala means the time of death. And that will happen at the time of that, if you, those in full consciousness, Yukta Chetasa, stay with the Yukta Chetasa means their minds engaged in me. If you seek for liberation also, you will thinking and engaging in devotion service, you'll understand Brahman, you'll understand Adibhuta, Adidaiva, Adiyajna, and Prayana Kala. At the Prayana Kala, if you engage fully in my service. This is what Krishna is concluding this chapter in this place. So these are, if you know, in full consciousness. This has to be in full consciousness. It cannot be, you cannot understand, like, this is a process again. Krishna is coming to this point of, if you understand me as the essence of everything, then as the principle of everything, then you will remember me even at the time of death. No problem. That's what he is saying. And he concludes this chapter over here. If you want, we can read the purport. Yeah. The seventh chapter particularly explains how one can become fully Krishna conscious person. So Krishna consciousness is, we live according to the Krishna conscious principles and we live according to the Krishna conscious principles. So Krishna is concluding that if you understand me, I am the source of all this, I am the essence of all this. And if you know you are the supreme, my energy, not a living entity, not an ordinary, you are supreme living entity. And if you only surrender to me, not to demigods, if you go on that path, you will get to the Jnana stage and you might come to the stage to ask for liberation. Even in the stage, you continue to engage in devotional service with full concentration, full faith in me, then you will remember me at the time of death. That's the whole process Krishna is giving. This is how you can know the absolute knowledge of the absolute. He is giving the absolute knowledge about himself right from the beginning. Even from the beginning stage where just start with the process of hearing, go through this process, surrender to me. By doing this, you will continue to go on this process. Then you will remember me at the time of death. This is how it is. So this chapter explains how one can become fully Krishna conscious. The beginning Krishna conscious is association of persons who are Krishna conscious. Such conscious association is spiritual and puts one directly in touch with the Supreme Lord. And by His grace, one can understand Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at the same time, one can really understand the constitutional position of the living entity and how the living entity forgets Krishna and becomes entangled. By gradual development of Krishna consciousness in good association, the living entity can understand that due to forgetfulness of Krishna, he has become conditioned by the laws of material nature. He can also understand that this human form of life is an opportunity to regain Krishna consciousness and that it should be fully utilized to attain the causeless mercy of the Lord. So this again, one of you read this last, it will conclude. Prabhupada brings everything again together like what I just said. Who wants to read? Go ahead.
I can read.
Yeah, go ahead.
Many subjects have been discussed in this chapter: the man in distress, the inquisitive man, the man in want of material necessities, knowledge of Brahman, knowledge of Paramatma, liberation from birth, death, and diseases, and worship of the Supreme Lord. However, he who is actually elevated in Krishna consciousness does not care for the different processes. He simply directly engages himself in activities of Krishna consciousness and thereby factually attains his constitutional position as an eternal servitor of Lord Krishna. In such a situation, he takes pleasure in hearing and glorifying the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service. He is convinced that by his doing so, all his objectives will be fulfilled. This determined faith is called Drid Vrata, and it is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga or transcendental loving service. That is the verdict of all scriptures. This 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is the substance of that conviction.
Clarifies, right? Prabhupada summarizes the 7th chapter. 7th chapter is the having come to that conviction that this is the process. This Bhakti Yoga is that process. Even though the scripture. 7th chapter is full in itself. Every chapter, and Prabhupada's purports are full in themselves. He brings the essence of the entire Krishna consciousness process in this one chapter. Right? Krishna is concluded also. Krishna has brought us up to the point of liberation and thinking fully on him. And if you continue to do that, even at the time of death, we'll remember him. And that's what? It is Krishna consciousness. Krishna has also concluded his entire Krishna consciousness process in this chapter, and Prabhupada also. And that process starts with the hearing process. So how beautifully this process, this chapter is laid, right? From hearing, and Krishna doesn't leave anything to doubt. Okay, I just continue to hear, but what if I have these desires? No matter, come and do here. And even if you have desires, just do this process. It will be purified. You'll come to the next stage. So gradually he'll bring to the point. Okay, Yashita Mataji, you have a question?
Yes, Mataji, I had a small question in the second last text. So those who are called Brahman in this, like they are endeavoring for liberation and they take refuge in devotional service. So are they considering like are they on the Brahman realization, or do they consider Bhagwan like as the personal aspect of,
No, they are not
or
Brahman.
are they
They are not.
different?
No, they are on the path. However, they haven't purified yet completely. They are on the path of Krishna consciousness. They are on the Bhagavan realization. Just stepping.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they still consider like the personal aspect. They consider God to be person,
Yes.
but
They are seeking.
they are endeavoring for liberation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you much.
Thank you. Priyan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the wonderful class. And I had a question from this 26th verse, Vedaham Samaditani Vartamana Nicharjuna. Lord says he knows everything in past, present, and future. So as a Jiva or living entity, we have independence, right? We have free will. So when Lord knows everything in past, present, and future, and where is the question of free will? So he knows everything in the future also, what we are supposed to do. So I was just trying to make sure how it works.
I was expecting one of you to ask that question. I was also preparing how I could answer that. Like, even though there is free will, the free will is your response, right? See, Krishna is a creator. Krishna is the maintainer. Krishna is a destroyer. So there is nothing that he doesn't know. There is nothing that he doesn't know. So from that perspective, we can just take that understanding. Krishna is Vedaham Samatitani, Vartamani Charjuna, Bhavishani Cha Bhutani, Mam Tu Vedanakas. You just take that as granted. Now, each one of us has a role to play, right? Each one of us has a role to, we have a response that we have to give. We have our responses, our reactions, our roles. That is totally with us. That is totally with us. Right? So we still have it, and we can, within the plan of the Lord, things will manifest. Within the plan of the Lord. Krishna's plan is too huge. Uncomprehendable by us. It's a very big, massive. This universe is his plan. Within that, we all have tiny, tiny roles to play. So each of us have an ability to make a difference to ourselves and to around us. So in that plan, in that response, whether that response of us is in accordance with Krishna's principles or not, that is the free will that we have. And within that, the entire, so things will work out. Just like you may think that Krishna knows every answer, but why is he making me to do the work, right? Or if Krishna knows something that it has to happen, why would he let it happen? That is one other way to look at. These are the various classic questions. If he knows Why did he let that happen? Some disaster or something. And if he knows, why am I supposed to even play? So Krishna's plan is not just related to us. Krishna's plan encompasses this entire universe. This entire universe has to operate according to Krishna's plan, and each and every living entity is moving according to their previous karma, their current activities, right? This is something that we have already come up to this point. In future, what is happening, we don't know yet. And that will depend on our actions, on our reactions, on our free will. The entire thing is Krishna's plan. Where is that something which is not in Krishna's plan? Everything is in Krishna's plan. But our reactions, we have our choice. We can make a difference in this world by being either Krishna conscious or not. Arjuna was given a choice. I have already killed Arjuna, all these people on the battlefield. Now, if you want, you do your duty of Kshatriya, fight the battle and take the credit for you. Or don't take the credit. So you see how big the Krishna's plan. It is not just simple related to our life. It is a bigger, much bigger plan. So we all have a role to play. Then we can take a credit for being Krishna conscious or not being Krishna conscious. And everything is according to the will of the Lord. There is Krishna's will and then there is Krishna's sanction. Krishna's will is he wants things like this to happen. Krishna's sanction is if you want, this is not according to religious principles, but if you want, I still have to give you because it can't work without me. I am the integral part of that thing. I have to give you sanction. It's not he has to give. He will give sanction because you are asking. Because of your free will, you are asking for it. So he sanctions. This is his sanction. Now his will is, he wants certain things to happen. He wants Arjuna to fight. Right? So if he wants Arjuna to fight, that is his will. And Arjuna will fight, he'll take the credit. If Arjuna's will is he doesn't fight, Krishna will sanction that also. But Krishna knows what has to happen. Because he is not looking at our level plan. He's looking at a much higher level. He came into the world in Dwapar Yuga to do what? Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadurvasha. And he will do that however he wants. He has chosen Arjuna. In that way, you take the credit, become the hero of Kurukshetra battle. Or if not, I will still do it some other way. So we fall like that. We are the individual, minute, infinitesimal. We just have to do our duty in Krishna consciousness. Like that. Does it make sense to you, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji. So, in another way, there's some in a material way to understand. There's some science fiction movies where it's mentioned that whichever path you choose, end result will be the same. There are some movies which describe those aspects or those concepts. So if someone asks who is new to Krishna consciousness and asks us about this question, so we can explain it in that way, Mataji, that end result is already determined, as Lord Krishna declared that these all will die at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra. It's your duty whether to take the credit or not. So end result is already determined. So the path is your choice. That's how we can explain her.
Now, what Krishna did in that example is a pastime, right? It was a specific pastime. There are pastimes, then there is life that we are all in. Our life is not pastime. What Krishna did as part of Kurukshetra war is a pastime. He wanted to prove to the world that entire his life was a pastime. He did his pastimes here when he was personally here, right? We cannot always say that that person, whoever is telling that end result is same, whichever path you take. We need to look at the context. It cannot be a blanket statement like that. We need to look at the context. We need to look at what is the thing that is talking about the end result. If you take a bus to Delhi and you want to go to Mumbai, can you go? You need to take a Mumbai bus only. You cannot sit in a Delhi bus and expect to go to Mumbai. right? So same thing, all paths cannot lead to the same result. We need to know clarity on what is that they are telling. If you go to do demigod worship, you won't go to Krishna's planet. Krishna made it very clear. Yanti deva, vratan deva, pritrin yanti pritargata. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. You can, that is how he says, you can come to me by worshipping. If you go to the demigods, you go to the planet. So we cannot apply that in every context. We need to look at the context. Prabhu. If you want to put more clarity on that, we can discuss. Otherwise, if you know what it is, then okay.
Yeah, I was just doubtful when someone asks this question, how to answer. So that was the concern, Tazim.
We need to give them the principle of Krishna consciousness. We cannot just say whatever you do, end result is same. That is a little uh, uh, very cautious statement. We should be very cautious with that statement, depending on what context. They may say, like, some miscreants can take Bhagavad Gita as Krishna is encouraged to fight, so I will do everyone, I will do my duty of fighting and kill people. Is that the essence of Bhagavad Gita? No. So we need to look at the essence. What is that, the context, and what is their mind? What is their intentions? In Krishna consciousness, most of the times, many a times, intentions play a big role than activities. Intentions are very important. And Krishna takes the essence of activities and he takes the essence of intentions. If your intentions are good, activities are not good, Krishna takes your intentions. If your intentions are bad and activities are good, Krishna takes the essence of this and gives the activity result based on your actions. That you see in the pastimes of Putana, you see in the pastimes of Vritrasura. In the pastime of Putana, her intentions are bad, her activity was good, feeding Krishna. So he took the essence, he gave her the position of mother. In the pastime of Vritrasura, he was fighting against his devotee Indra, and he was a devotee of Krishna, Vritrasura. So Krishna took his devotion. He didn't look at the activity and he gave him back to Godhead position. So like that. So Krishna, we need to look at it. What are the intentions of this person when he says end result is same? For what? Like I said, if you sit in a train that goes to some place, you can't expect that place, you reach some other destination. It's not like that. So you need to look at it holistically, applying all these principles.
Thank you, Madhadev.
Thank you. Thanks for asking. I was expecting something on those lines. Yeah. Amrudala Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I was just thinking in terms of what began Prabhu asked. So, this thought came into my mind like when Krishna, Pancha Pandavas, right, along with Draupadi, they were about to fight the war. Then at the last minute, they'll get a peace suggestion that would be made. So then Draupadi gets anxious, saying that even though you told me the entire dynasty, my kids, everybody will be vanquished. And finally, I decided to give this kind of a sacrifice for the welfare of everybody else, just keeping my, not being thinking of my kids, my family. And now you're going to make a peace kind of a decision with Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. How fair is this? You shouldn't be doing this. So at that time, I think. Krishna says, have faith even in the Duryodhana, have faith in the like bad part of the Duryodhana. He will definitely, this war is going to happen and peace will not succeed. Somehow he knew the end result. Keep faith in the nature of a person's how nature. So Duryodhana's nature was how much ever. At the end, they asked only for 5 villages, right? They told, okay, give back the Indraprasad. No, no. And whatever they said, no, no, no. Even after all this, like fall down to Draupadi's feet, still they'll be okay to forgive you. But at the end, they asked just 5 villages. Even that was kind of Duryodhan didn't even have that kind much of mercy in his heart. So Krishna says, have faith in the Duryodhana's nature, and he was going to act in the same way. At that time, Duryodhana could have changed, right? Agreed for the 5 villages, and the outcome might be something else. We don't know that the war would have happened very later, or what would have happened. He might have a change in his heart. But Krishna says to Draupadi, says, have faith in the Duryodhana, and the war will still happen. Yeah, that was kind of one thing. How do we know the outcome is still the same? Krishna somehow knows, and he gives a chance, or as you said, as also for us to change.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
But we also know from the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody knows the 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita?
Yes.
Ishwar, Jeev, Kal, Prakriti, Purush, sorry, Karma.
What is the one thing that is constant, and what are they all constant or are they changing?
Karma is
Karma.
not, rest are eternal.
Yes. So that means even within the Krishna's plan, there is a room for changing, right? That is mercy. Where is the mercy? If everything is set in stone, we know Krishna's mercy is there. So how things operate? It's all very, if you look at it from that angle, it's very dynamic. It is very mysterious, Krishna's plan. Nobody knows Krishna's plan. Bhishmadev says, nobody knows Krishna's plan. Even the great ascetics, great sages who have done tapasya and so many austerities for so many years, they don't know. Nobody knows Krishna's plan. It is inconceivable. That is why this process that we are talking is achintya, inconceivable. That is how it is. So we still have our own duties, our roles to play, our minute infinitesimal roles and our activities to do within the principles of Krishna consciousness. Okay. That brings us to the end. So today's topic was where are our shelters? And next week, we will continue. These last 2 verses of Bhagavad Gita of 7th chapter is the starting point for the next chapter. Arjuna starts asking the questions, what are these words that you're throwing at me? Arjuna, Krishna, what is this you're talking? What is Brahman? What is Adbhuta, Adidaiva, and like that. So if you can read that chapter, I don't know how many verses we have to cover. Maybe some 7 or 8. Okay. Thank you very much. See you next week. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo Anantakuti Vaishnavi ki jai. Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mataji, for
Mataji.
this
Dandavat
wonderful
Pranam.
class.
Hare Krishna.